AgVenture was set up in 2010. Its shareholders are a group of farmers, and the purpose of AgVenture was to enable those farmers to find sustainable solutions to farming. Our main business lines, we have a business called Pure Mountain, which supplies edible oil and pulses into the retail chains. We have a seed company, AgVenture Seed. We have an outreach program called Centre of Excellence, which is all about training farmers. So Pure Mountain Farm Oil is the brand name. It's been in the market for some years now, nearly more than a decade, I think. We started in 2011. It was set up as a way of generating a market for canola oil specifically. And canola oil, if we start with the farming side of it, farmers really wanted to grow canola because it's a crop which can add crop health or soil health back into their system. So they needed the crop. They're mainly cereal farmers growing things like maize and wheat, and they wanted a crop that could help their farming system. So canola is a crop grown all over the world. We give farmers a contract before they plant, and there are almost, in my knowledge, no other crops where farmers can get a contract before they plant, that states the price and the terms and everything else. So we actually have developed we've worked on this for a long time, developed good relationships with our farmers, and the intention is to do more and more with them over time. So whether it's growing canola or perhaps sunflower in future, or indeed seed crops, that's what we want to do, and we want to build a better relationship with those farmers and offer them solutions in their farming business. Fragmentation of land is a serious challenge when you look at any form of agriculture. Generally speaking, it's more efficient the bigger the land holding. So canola doesn't lend itself to very small areas of land, but having said that, there's a lot of farmers that grow on 5 to 10 acres and are growing canola successfully. Okay. So I think it depends a little bit on how you define small. Okay. It is a crop that lends itself best to mechanized farming, so that's the best environment for it. Okay. So the oil itself, every oil has its different characteristics. The special thing about canola is if you look at saturated fats, it has one of the lowest levels of saturated fats of all the cooking oils. So you've got things like olive oil, which is a very specialized oil. Canola actually has lower saturated fats than olive oil. But again, there are different uses. So something like olive oil is not really used extensively for frying, whereas canola oil, again, around the world is used extensively in high temperature applications. So it's a high quality oil with low saturated fats, specifically high omegas. And when we look at the cold pressed, it's a slightly different product to many of the other oils in the market. So it again has some benefits in that space. At the moment, we produce about between 5,000 and 7,000 tons of canola oil a year. We work through our brand, Pure Mountain, but we also supply Upfield, who are producers of the Blue Band brand, and they use our oil as well in that product. So yeah, that's roughly the volume, but we're also bringing on stream sunflower oil production, which we also think should be able to grow a lot more as well. The prices of edible oils everywhere spiked, went extremely high. They've actually dropped off significantly. We think that canola oil should be competitive in the market. It maybe isn't always going to be the cheapest thing on the shelf, but it should be competitive and it should be something that's affordable to everybody. So it depends a little bit where you buy it, but what I can tell you is it's extremely competitive, and we monitor prices very carefully. So we're rarely the cheapest, but we're about often third or fourth in the market in terms of price. But if you compare price and quality, we're at the quality level we provide, we're exceptionally good value. Okay. So yeah, and another thing that's worth mentioning as well, cooking oil is not just about how many litres or kilos you buy, it's also how far it goes. So one of the incredible things about canola oil is that it actually lasts a lot longer and spreads further. So you actually need less in your cooking than you do with some other oils. Okay. So yeah, it goes further for the shillings you spend. Absolutely, you can go on Jumia and you can buy it. Okay. and there are some other channels as well. So absolutely you can do that. A green spoon.
Oh, green spoon.
Yes. Directly we employ about 150 people. Indirectly a little bit difficult to estimate, but several thousand are employed indirectly. And then we contract and train many farmers. So we've trained about something like 10,000 farmers over a period of time. Every year we train several thousand, and that number goes up and down a little bit. The primary focus, I would say, first is about import substitution. How can we supply more of what we consume locally? So Kenya today, about 99% of its edible oil is imported, and that means we have to use hard currency to, feed our population. We can and should be producing more of that edible oil here in the country, both feeding Kenyans, but also benefiting Kenyan farmers as well. And I think that's absolutely what can happen and should happen. Local demand exceeds supply. So as you may know, Kenya imports the vast majority of its edible oil. I think this is something that can change, and I think absolutely we can supply more oil for Kenyans from Kenya, which I think is a very important thing. We do export some of our seed, and there are export opportunities there. But I think, again, there's a lot of demand for seed locally that needs to be met as well. So we have our own small chain of shops in a few rural towns, but we also supply through a network of smaller supermarkets and into the informal sector. We have a lot of traders who buy from us, and we've seen that, the supermarkets occupy a small percentage of the total volume, so it's actually it's very interesting like that. We want to expand significantly. I think there are two kinds of expansion. One is doing more with the people that you already work with, and I think that's something that we want to do. So with the farmers we already work with, we want to expand our range of activities, and ultimately we think we can generate more value for them in that space. But we're also, when we look at seed, in particular, seed is something that there's a lot of demand for. High quality seed is very important for agriculture, and we see opportunities both across East Africa and in fact across into West Africa as well. Yeah, so currently we have been exporting into Tanzania and DRC, but as time goes by, we foresee that expanding quite a bit. I think the primary challenges, though, those are kind of general to the environment. The primary challenges are actually around how can we improve seed supply, how can we train farmers, how can we get farmers doing a better job in terms of planting and how they do their agronomic practices. Because if all of those things are there, then there'll be successful farmers. So that's kind of our objective, is to see how we can solve those challenges that are within our control. Healthy eating is something that you can establish in your daily life. It's in the choices you make when you go to the shop to buy and what you put in your, on your plate. Pure Mountain is a part of that journey, and we want to supply really good products that are healthy for Kenyans to be consumed here in Kenya and grown by Kenyans. And we really hope that this story grows and continues to grow.